Hey there, everybody. Thanks for joining me for another one-man review. Today I have a book that, as far as I know, was the first book that came out in 2025. So to me, this is like the first book I've read of 2025. But publishing says it came out in October of 2024. And if that's the case, then I'm going to apologize right out the gate to Tim Bird and Avery Hill Publishing, because I think if I had read this before I filmed my top 10 of the year video, this would have at least been a strong contender. I would have figured out a way to sneak it in as a cheat or something. Really love this book. I almost didn't buy it because I'm trying to become more discriminating, but the premise and the combination of styles that was in the preview art I saw, I couldn't help it. I had to go get it. So this is by Tim Bird with paintings by Sue Bird, which is Tim's mother. And this is a loving tribute biography to his mother's life that published after her death. Died of cancer, I think, during COVID. And his mother, as an artist who taught him to be an artist, left behind a legacy of all these paintings she's done. And Tim has found a way to celebrate his mother's artistic achievements in her life in a really ongoing set of clever ways of integrating different kinds of information onto a page and into the flow of a comic narrative. So right out the gate, we get what must have been just some notes here from his mom on her palette. Transparent oil paint over gray, white and black under painting, scumble over, transparent glows, I think is what it says, which is true. That's correct if that's what she was writing. If it's transparent, it will glow. So right here, she's doing material tests and making notes, can dilute down with linseed oil. This may be notes she took in a class or something, I'm not sure. This is obviously a sketch that she did on site in plein air. Of a composition to paint when she got back home or something like that. It looks like 2018, of Robin Hood Bay. So right out the gate, just like in the kind of credit papers and stuff, you're getting some really intimate looks at his mom's, not even her art, but her thought process about her art, which is really quite lovely. Then you get this awesome opening sequence here where he zooms in on this painting. This is an intense painting. And yes, I remember that painting from my grandparents' house. This painting is an impactful image. And if you're seeing this growing up, yeah, you would remember it. It really has a vibe to it, a little dark and spooky almost. And then you flip the page and you get Tim Bird working in his style, which is this very clean cartooning, and this reminds me of Luke Healy. Is that the right artist? There's a couple other artists who have this. I associate them with No Brow Press and stuff. Very clean, simple, effective cartooning style. I think it's really pretty. I like it with the couple spot colors, and it's a really nice juxtaposition to all of the intensely detailed painter work. If you've seen the video I did on David B. Dowd's stick figures, the terms Vudic and glyphic, this is a perfect example. This is Vudic. It's painterly. It's like you're there. It's relying on color and atmosphere and impression and dots of color and dabs, whereas the glyphic or the graphic is this very, cartoony, iconographic type of looking stuff. So the book, that's a challenge to put those two things next to each other. And even a transition like this, where you're going from an up-close look at it to an abstract representation of it, because now it's hanging out in the background, it flows really well. Then there are compositional tricks that Tim Bird uses all throughout as well that kind of help these things integrate, because throughout the story he can always be plunking in a piece of his mom's production to talk about whatever he's talking about in the text, and so it totally makes sense. It's also really cool that he's not just showing off that his mom was an artist and how good she was, but it's hey, I learned how to make three-dimensional shapes because my mom showed me how to do these things. And then that becomes educational to anyone reading the book as well. So passing on the legacy that his mom passed on to him of what she knew, I think that's really, A, presented in an illustrated way, and B, a really sweet thing to be doing. This is another great one where you're going between the Vudic and the glyphic. You know, you have his mom's painting over here, which is this beautiful impressionistic Vudic painting, and then this must have been so fun for him to go back and like have to abstract out his mom's stuff. I mean, I've been doing this kind of stuff a lot for Bound, taking things that were more realistic or like some compositions from Beauty and the Beast, even though they're animated, there's a lot more colors and details, and saying, okay, I have to do this in like 2 or 3 colors. That's a really fun challenge and really teaches you a lot about composition. And so he's learning a lot from his mother, even after she's died. Just by going through and doing this, she's still teaching him. And I think that's a beautiful sentiment. The main plot of the book then kicks in when that painting of the fish in the beginning, Tim Burd is starting to find out that it wasn't the fish painting that was in a certain competition that his mom said it was in, that it was maybe another painting. So he starts doing some research on this competition that his mom was in, and she had her art shown at like a big important gallery, and he didn't know that at first. And so he starts doing some exploration of that. And that's what most of the book is about. I don't want to keep going and spoil too much of the book because I really, really think everyone should read this. But this is another one of those really fun graphic tricks that works in comics so well that Tim Burd plays all throughout the book. So clever with this all throughout. But an actual scan of like the list, a catalog of work from that show. He went and did the research, found the thing, scanned the actual object, and put it in there. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Comics can accommodate so many more interesting forms of education and research and presenting information that we've even touched, really. And I think this book is chock full of a bunch of those interesting ideas. And then this sequence here is really, really interesting to me. This is a memory of Tim sitting there with his mom at the beach, and they're trying to catch some stuff. And she's telling him, hey, I used to have this book, and it had all these pictures of these shells and seaweed and all this stuff, and they were really beautiful, detailed watercolor paintings. And then she says, I tried to copy them, but they were so tricky. And then it just goes on. It's like anything. No, it's like this stray thing that maybe he could have forgotten, never remembered. Then you flip the page, and again, here's some comics doing some stuff that's really, really fascinating that not enough people take advantage of. He's got the original book. He's got the cover. And he's got those exact images that his mom was talking about trying to copy and fail at. Then on the next page, he shows he found them. And Tim, I know what you're doing, man, and you're right. These are so much better and so much more beautiful and expressive and interesting. The marks are so calligraphic. These are beautiful drawings, beautiful little color paintings. These are stiff, boring, not so great, Like, yeah, these aren't that great. And I think, Tim is saying, Mom, you did way better. Look at these beautiful things. I'm going to share that with the world. So, yeah, yes, Sue Bird, they may have been tricky, but your interpretation of them is far more beautiful than the original thing. And so I think that's a perfect, appropriate place to leave the review. The rest of the book is equally as good, but that shows you just what a thoughtful person Tim Burd is and what a thoughtful user and artist of the medium he is. So please go get this book. You will not regret it. House on Fire by Matt Battaglia is a just gorgeous book where Matt's kind of making an emotional response to the years of COVID and wrapping that into a sci-fi dystopian future that really the sci-fi dystopian's backgrounded, and you're focused on the emotional journey of two characters in a really beautiful way. And then that's enhanced by Matt's like really awesome, loose, kind of Paul Popish dry brush work. And then Sean and Matt have worked to get this second kind of orange spot color in there that's going to look really, really beautiful, and has allowed Matt to use his dry brush technique to add tone to the thing too. So with Sean's production technique, this is going to be a gorgeous book with a lot of heart.